What are some of the things that our families teach us about work and about wealth and about how economies work? And once again, it's not to say that they are trying to do damage in our lives. They are doing the best they can with the thinking handed down to them. But the world has changed. What are some of the things that they teach us? Work hard. There's nothing wrong with working hard. I believe in working hard. But the goal is actually to make money, not to work hard. And there is a very big difference there. In certain companies, people think you are fantastic if you are working hard, not necessarily if you are being effective. So what they do is people make a show of the number of hours that they work, how they work over weekends, how they're part of every meeting. They're not necessarily getting stuff done, but they're showing that they're working hard. Yeah, that's the difference. The next thing is play it safe. Play it safe. Wealthy people take risks all the time. The middle classes and poor folks take no risks at all. In fact, I heard a phrase the other day that's just been resonating in my mind that says, the middle classes are paralyzed by doubt. They are secure to the point of paralysis. They do not take risks. And of course, the thinking handed down there is get a safe job and let someone else take care of you. Be like everyone else. Here's an obvious thing that has to be said. If you be like everyone else, you're gonna earn like everyone else. If you choose the safe route in life, you are choosing to earn less than you potentially could. So, today, let's talk about the idea of recession versus abundance. You've probably heard, I mean, it's all over the world news and it's in every newspaper, every blog, everywhere you go, the recession that we've been talking about that kicked in 2008. What's interesting about recessions is not what's going on in the world, it's what's going on in your inner space up here. There are, for example, speakers in my industry who have decided that there is a recession and have earned a heck of a lot less as a result. Then there are other speakers. There's a particular guy in the States named Randy Gage, who said, in 2008, the world issued an invitation to go into recession, and I politely declined. And he says he's had his best year ever every single year since then. Because what happens is when we are told that there is a recession, we stop acting in ways that generate money because we believe that people aren't buying. We haven't discovered a recession, we have bought into the concept of a recession. There are certain companies who have had their best years ever since, right the way through this recession, because they simply don't believe in it. Today I'd like to share with you ideas, ways of overhauling your thinking that have to do with work and wealth. And my promise to you is that they are going to be uncomfortable. But this stuff is massively important. It's important because we are still being taught the ways to work that are outdated. The world changes, but we're still practicing the old ways. Epiphany number 1. Resenting the wealthy says more about us than it does about the wealthy. There's a phrase that my family always used to use, and when I was young, we struggled really, really badly with poverty. We had some incredibly rough winters. One that I remember, we went through the whole of July with our power cut off. We had our local church bringing food baskets to our house, and I lived in a pretty decent neighborhood, and we were the odd ones out. So it's quite rough to go through that sort of thing, and to have someone else feeding your family when your own parents can't, it was a difficult time to go through. But what's most interesting to me now, looking back on that time period, is the kind of language that my family used around the dinner table. Has your family ever used a phrase like, how the other half live, when they talk about rich people? Yeah. You know what it's like? It's like rich people are a different species. The way that I'd like you to look at the difference between where you are and wealth is I want you to look at it as a curve. Because if it is a curve, you can move along that curve. You can go from where you are now to your goals. But if you buy into that thinking that says rich people are just a different species, then instead of a curve, there's just a chasm. There's a hole. There is an absolute void between where you are and where you want to be. And if you don't believe that it's possible to move along that transition, you don't act in ways that start to move you there. The starting point in becoming a high net worth individual is the belief that it is possible. That a wealthy person is not a different species, they're just further along on a continuum. They have more education about what brings in money and how to achieve goals than what you currently have. And that's okay, because that represents hope. That means you can learn these things, you can do them. Resenting the wealthy says more about us than it does about the wealthy. We often think about wealthy people as, they're obviously evil, they're obviously corrupt. They obviously stepped on people's faces to get where they are now. Forbes magazine paints a different picture of that. They take the highest earning individuals on the planet and they look at how much they give. The stats bear out that wealthy people give more per capita than anyone else. We're not just talking about more money because they actually have more, we're talking about more per individual in percentage form. The idea that wealthy people are obviously stingy, obviously evil, is not borne out by statistics. Yeah, of course, there's obviously the odd jerk. You will meet the odd, horrible, rich person. They're out there, certainly, in their numbers. But by and large, it is not a valid rule. That's number one. Number two, there are three things that money is not. Money is not the root of all evil. That's not what the verse says. What does the verse say? The love of money. And it also doesn't say, is the root of all evil. It says something down the lines of, is the root of many kinds of evil. Now think about what that belief would do to Christian families, people of faith, if it becomes a locked-in belief and it's handed down generation to generation. Money is the root of all evil. Okay, so if I chase it, there's something wrong with me. You can't hold that belief and become wealthy. The two do not work together. And that's one of those things that we need to chuck out. It's a misquote of the original verse and it's damaging. It does a lot of harm, particularly to people of faith. Money is, the first thing money is not, the root of all evil. The second thing money is not, embarrassing. Could you be rich with a straight face? Time to face that question. Because you are on a career trajectory that can potentially make you very wealthy. Could you handle it? What kind of human being would you be once you get there? Yeah? Wealth simply makes you an amplified version of yourself. So what are you? If you're a horrible person, a rich version of you is going to be a horrible person who's able to do more. If you're a good person who likes to help others, a rich version of you will be an amplified version of that. Okay? Money is not embarrassing. And if we are embarrassed by money, it changes a number of things. Around the dinner table as a family, we won't talk about it. No. The middle classes like to talk about how hard we're working. But we never talk about how to earn money or how to lose money. All of the rules of money. You get into the home of wealthy people and that's what they talk to their children about because they think it's important. Money is not embarrassing. We must talk about it. And number three, money is not finite. It is not finite. It is not a limited resource. If I take some over here, there's less for you. Money doesn't work that way. I have a friend. She is a qualified lawyer, passed her bar exam. And what she then did, because she was married to a guy who was quite wealthy, she said, I'm not going to practice law. Because if I practice law, I get a salary and that means slightly less money for other people. Folks, the thinking is wrong. She has the world's best intentions there, but what she's actually doing is failing to contribute a little bit to the total amount of money available. Work doesn't take money out of a system, it adds it to it. The more people we have running their own businesses, the more people we have selling, the more people we have doing stuff, the more there is for all. Bring your skill to this country. Bring your talent. Earn money for yourself. The more you have, the more there is in totality. It's also very interesting because in different countries, they think about the finite nature of money in different ways. Korea, about 10, 20 years ago, they decided that they wanted to do economic upliftment for the majority of their people. So what did they do? They took a look at America and they said, I reckon we can take on their car industry and we can take on their IT industry. Have you ever heard of Samsung? Yeah. Have you ever heard of any of the Korean car brands? Yeah, Hyundai and what's the other one? Kia. And they are absolutely conquering the world right now because what they've decided to do is to grow. Now, other countries around the world, and in fact, South Africa is a prime example. We go, uh-oh, there's a finite amount of money, so if we want to make some people rich, what do we got to do? We've got to take from others. Rather than growing the entire pool. Bring your skill, grow the country. We need entrepreneurs. We often talk about how much we need jobs. You can't falsely create a job. My next question to you is, why the heck would you want a job? You can't get wealthy in a job.